All right. Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the Center for Student Involvement and Careers Virtual Collegiate and Alumni UBC, I'd like to extend a warm welcome to all of you in attendance today. We appreciate you being here to participate in this exciting talk with one of our alumni, Alice Miao. Before we get started, I'd like to acknowledge that UBC is situated on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Musqueam people. My name is Tiffany, and I am the president of the Student Alumni Council. Be sure to follow us on social media, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn at UBC SAC. It's my great privilege to be moderating today's Alumni Office Hour. At Alumni UBC, the CSINC, and in the Virtual Collegiate Program, we understand the value of mentorship and building community, particularly during times of high stress. We hope to use these virtual alumni and collegiate office hours as a tool to help first-year students address their fears, make connections, expand their community, and be mentored in a safe small group setting by UBC alumni. As you may know, the CSINC supports students throughout your academic journey by connecting you to experiences, resources, and people that will help you achieve your personal and career goals. They offer a variety of programming, including orientations such as the Virtual Collegiate Program that many of you are part of, mentoring, volunteer, and leadership opportunities, as well as workplace learning. You can visit students.ubc.ca to learn more about the center and its services. Today's Alumni Office Hour is a partnership with the UBC Hub of 10,000 Coffees. With 10,000 Coffees, students can connect with a network of over 3,000 other students and alumni to develop their skills and build their network. This event will be recorded through GoToWebinar, and the video will be available after the event through the CSINC. All participants will be muted for the duration of the event, and we'll have a Q&A opportunity in the second half of the event. So at any point, you're welcome to type in your questions through the questions tab, and I'll present them to Alice in our Q&A portion. Your questions will remain anonymous if they are typed in, but please do keep them short and concise, as it'll give us an opportunity to answer more of your questions. Now, I'm happy to introduce today's speaker, Alice Miao. Alice graduated from UBC in 2018 with a Bachelor of Science in Forestry and is the awards coordinator for the UBC Forestry Graduate Program. In this talk, Alice will share her story about her experience as a first-year student at UBC and the lessons she learned that became useful to her career and life after leaving university. I'll now turn things over to her.
Thank you to Tiffany for the introduction. Good evening, everyone, and thank you very much to all of you for being here tonight. It is truly an honor to have this opportunity to share my experience with our first-year students. My name is Alice Miao. Let me start by addressing what I am sure is your #1 question. And no, the name Miao does not have anything to do with cats. So in Chinese, it means seedling. So perhaps you could say, to paraphrase Shakespeare, that studying and working in forestry has always been in my stars. When I was growing up in China, I never imagined that I would one day be at a place like UBC. I come from a working class family, from a small industrial city in northern China. For my parents, just continuing their education beyond high school was an impossible dream. There was no need for them to even think about going to a world-class university like UBC. So for me to be here is incredibly meaningful to myself and my family. And it has only been possible because of all the support and opportunities I received. So let me begin by showing you a few photos of the most memorable experience I had during my undergraduate studies at UBC. So this first photo was taken in 2016 at Gerlei Suspension Bridge near Mostorf, Germany. I was there to attend the International Forestry Work Camp Excursion Week. Each year, the Ministry of Forestry of Rhineland-Pfalz invites forestry students around the globe to attend this Forestry Excursion Week, which is held in Bonn Park, Germany. The event is intended to provide opportunities for students to learn the forest and forest conditions in Rhineland-Pfalz and Germany as a whole, to exchange information and experience, and also to get to know the region and the people with the same interests. So it was such an amazing and exciting opportunity. So naturally, I of course applied. And I was very fortunate that I received the invitation to attend the event. And I was there as the only student representative from North America. But my trip would not have been possible without the sponsorship from the Faculty of Forestry. During the event, I learned an immense amount of knowledge about the German forest and forest management there. And I also had the opportunity to meet other students from 8 different countries with whom I later became good friends. And also I got the opportunity to share my Canadian forest management insights with my peers. So this excursion week is certainly an adventure that I will never forget. And I will be forever grateful for the Faculty of Forestry to fund my trip. Next slide, please. This is just some photos we took during the trip. So unfortunately, my computer died a few years ago, so I borrowed a photo from one of the students who took this photo during the trip, and she is from Greece. As you can see, Germany has a really, really beautiful forest land. And in next photo, you can see that we were having a lunch break, and one of my Spanish friend is having some fun time there. So the next set of photo was taken when I was working at the Forestry Dean's office. And yes, you heard me right. Working in the faculty means you get to be around cute dogs like this one. So her name is Jara, named after Jara tree, or Eucalyptus marginata. That's the scientific name for the tree. She belongs to Dr. John Innes, who is the Dean of Forestry, which is why I often jokingly call her the associate dog. And she is definitely my favorite. So during my undergraduate studies, I had the opportunity to work as a special project assistant in the Forestry Dean's office through the Work-Learn program. One of the many projects I worked on is developing the Forestry Dogs in the Workplace program. And this program, which involves a sophisticated permitting system, allowing staff members, faculty members, and graduate students to bring their dogs to the Forest Sciences Center. So the program has really shown a tremendous positive impact on the mental health and well-being of our students, and many of whom experienced great happiness interacting with the dogs, and especially during the exam period. And if you are curious to see some of the dog celebrities registered under this program, you can actually go to the forestry website and download our 2020 Dogs of Forestry calendar. I will also share the link in a moment. So I think it's really not, it's no exaggeration to say that my tenure at the Dean's office really transformed me in many ways. And working as a special projects assistant, I was able to further develop my professional skills. And this experience ultimately led me to pursue a career in higher education. So the next set of photos I will show you was taken when I was doing wildfire severity assessment at Williams Lake in the central interior of British Columbia. So in 2018, I was hired as a field assistant by Dr. Eskelsen from the Forest Resources Management Department. The study sites, as shown in this photo, had a wildfire either in, I think, 2009 or 2010, and were reburned during the 2017 fire season. So my assignment was to work with a graduate student to take measurements on all the trees in the identified sampling plots in terms of their diameter, height, decay stage, and health conditions. And the wooden debris was also sampled along 2 transect lines. And the data was later used to determine reburn severity based on pre-fire vegetation, and also will be used to guide post-fire management. And you can see me here that I am all geared up taking measurements. And I really love wearing cruiser vest. So cool, isn't it? I think many people working in forestry probably will agree that doing field work sometimes feel like getting paid to be on vacation, as you get to spend time outdoor and enjoy nature. And the bond you build with your partner and the support you provide to each other during field work is very precious. And this is not something you can develop easily in an office environment. And as you can see in this next photo, I took it when we get off work after a hard day work in the field. And you can see that was taken near the Canada Day, so around July 1st, because there is a big rodeo event going on in town. So we got to see this cool event. And my partner and I actually took a few days off so that we can attend the rodeo. It was really cool, and this is my first time to go to a rodeo event. So and the next photo here is a cat. Her name is Mrs. Brown, and she's a cat at where we stayed. It belongs to the Airbnb owner. Really, really fun, friendly cat, and she always come to greet us when we finish our work and come back home. So, on one hand, I have been able to learn a great deal from some of the best scholars in the world at UBC. And on the other hand, this hands-on experience complements what I learned in classroom and helped me to further develop my research abilities. In the 6+ years that I have been at UBC as an undergraduate student, a graduate student, and now a staff member, I have had the blessing to receive many supports and opportunities. Without these supports and opportunities, getting to where I am would have been immensely harder. And I am absolutely certain that I could not have flourished in this wonderful discipline of forestry without this support and opportunities. I mentioned in my introduction that my name in Chinese means seedling. And in a way, I think that every student enters UBC as a seedling. If given the nourishment and the support you need, you will thrive. As your journey at UBC has just begun, I'd like to wish you all the very best. Be ambitious and adventurous. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alice, for your wonderful presentation. I think now we're going to move into a question and answer period. My first question for you is, I remember from our previous conversations, you mentioned that you had a Bachelor of Arts in China, and you decided to come to UBC for your second degree. What made you decide to get that second degree, and why forestry?
Well, that's a really, really good question. Well, if I know that, in my second year undergraduate studies, I get to play with dogs, at the time, there is no doubt that I will apply to UBC and go to forestry. That's definitely a done deal. But no, at the time, it's the process is actually quite interesting. So, as you know, for someone growing up in China, it's a little bit unconventional to redo your undergraduate studies. The natural path would be, I got my BA in poli-sci, and then I probably will come to Canada, do a master's or PhDs. That would be the choice for most of the people. But after I moved to Canada, I came to Canada as an immigrant. So to me, this is really exciting because this is a new chapter, a completely new chapter of my life. And I'm in my early 20s, and I just feel like, wow, I can really do anything I want. And my parents cannot say, oh, you have to do this degree and you have to study in this major, right? So at the time, I thought, maybe I should try something new, and I want to, have this full Canadian experience. I want to know what's the life like for Canadian youth. So I thought, okay, I will maybe go do a master's, but while I'm doing my research, I came across with forestry, and the more I read about it, the more I find this may be the perfect match for me, because I think forestry is this combination of arts and the science, which is really attractive to me at the time. So I thought, you know what, I'm just going to give it a shot. And if it worked out, great. If it doesn't, then that's not the end of my life. And I can tell you that this is definitely one of the best decisions I ever made in my life. And I'm just grateful for everything happened in my life, and all the fantastic opportunities and support I received at UBC. It really, transformed me. I hope I answer your questions. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's remarkable to be transitioning to a completely new country and really taking that leap and trying something completely new in your studies as well, while you're, adjusting to a new country. And speaking of those resources and opportunities that you've had to take up during your bachelor's, I'm interested in hearing about what you would recommend for first year students who want to find similar opportunities that might be suited to them. How did you find these resources? And before you answer this question, I'm just going to encourage everyone who is attending today's talk to submit any questions that you might have for Alice in the questions tab on GoToWebinar. But otherwise, Alice, what would you recommend for first year students who might be interested in pursuing some of these resources and opportunities further down in their degree?
Good question, and I think my main resource when I try to seek opportunities would be Googling. I think that's at least for me, that's a good start, because when I started my first year at UBC, of course I passed the IELTS, the English proficiency test, but I don't think my English is good enough to have these in-depth conversations. So what I normally do is that I always do some Googling, and our UBC website is really great. It lists a lot of opportunities. So that's my first step. And after that, so I got a good sense like what kind of potential opportunities that there could be. So for instance, one thing I mentioned, there is a work-learn program. So it's like in essence, it's like the student positions on campus, and it's a subsidized. You get to work on a variety of projects depending on the position you apply. And then my next step, I would try to find someone in upper year, or go to the student services, just talk to an advisor to get a bit more information. And also just because I did my background search, I have a clear picture of what I want, and also more solid questions. So when I go to talk to people, I have a purpose. I know like what kind of important information I need. And because I have a clear view of what I want, that really also helps others to help me, because they think that, oh, this student, she's not just like come here and have no clue what's going on, and I have to prep her up. So I think that really helped me to find these resources. And of course, there are Facebook groups or the student clubs, societies that I can join, and after class I got to talk to my classmates, and they may share some information with me. And of course, as an undergraduate student, you automatically enrolled in your undergraduate newsletters. So these are also a good channel for you to explore, both on-campus and off-campus opportunities. So that's kind of how I do it. I think everyone will find their way to search the opportunities, but to me at least, that worked quite well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when you're sharing about all these different ways that you learned about opportunities and resources, I think something that really struck to me was how proactive you were in pursuing opportunities actively and really taking the time to do your research and figure out, who do you need to talk to get what you want. And I think that's something that a lot of first year students struggle with because the university is so big. And I know for myself, I talked to a lot of upper year students in my first year, and I talked to a lot of staff and just said, hey, like what's going on here? And, actively listening and taking those opportunities to be proactive and think about what you might want later down the line. Um, I've also been part of the Work Learn program, so I know a lot of those people that you get to work with in the Work Learn program, such as staff and professors. They really help you kind of navigate the university and can connect you with future opportunities after you finish your Work Learn term.
Yeah, definitely. And I totally echo what you just said. It's really like once you have a clear vision of what you want, and once you get this one opportunity, it really expands from there because people get to know you, get a better idea about your set of skills and what kind of person you are, and then this information just coming your way as well. So that's also really helps. And I think, as a first year students, I think it's always good that you try to be adventurous, try to proactively to seek opportunities, and that also, in turn to help you to navigate like what is your career path, like what you want to do after you graduate from the university.
Yeah, absolutely. And on that note, I'm interested in hearing, you came to Canada and you started at UBC as an international student, but also a new immigrant. So I'm curious in hearing what are some of the difficulties that you think international students might experience, and what are some strategies for dealing with these?
Good question. You are right. I guess you can say that I experienced the both the international and the domestic perspectives as a student because I came as a new immigrant. But if you look at my background, I was born and raised in China, so I never go to an international high school. My before I come to Canada, my entire life is in China. And I actually never go to abroad before I come to Canada. So it's a really like in some ways there definitely have some cultural shock. And when I come to Canada, it's not really something I have been planned for many years. Like at some point, say in my 15 years old, I was thinking, oh, one day I will go to Canada. That's not the case. It's really just happened, and I need to be in Canada now. So the first difficulty that I faced was the language. Oh, I'm so sorry. Was the language barrier. So that was really difficult, and I find that the best way to deal with it is get a job. Like at least that worked out for me so well. Like I can have some communication, like a simple communication, like how are you, what's the weather like, but anything goes deeper than that, beyond that, I just frozen. I don't know what to say. So it was hard. So what I did was that I tried to find a job as soon as I come to Canada. It doesn't matter like what kind of job I get, and I don't even I'm not even picky on that. I just give me a job, put me in that environment, and you just have to kind of force yourself to improve your English, and that turns out very well, like worked out very well for me. And my very first job in Canada was working as a part-time housekeeper at UBC Housing, and that's actually a really good experience because I get to meet staff at UBC, and also there were some students from land and food system, even forestry, science, arts. There were actually quite a few student workers there, so that I can connect with them, already learn a bit what's the the life like as a student at UBC. So that's really helped me. So definitely language barrier, and for me it was get a work, and I really try to avoid the speak Mandarin like whenever possible. I mainly just speak it when I call my parents. The rest of the time, if you speak Mandarin to me, I just reply in English. It doesn't matter how difficult it may be. I just have to force myself to do that, and that really helped me to improve quite quickly. And another difficulty is this kind of different teaching styles. I think for other students from other parts of the world, maybe the teaching style may be more like to what is offered in Canadian schools, but what I experienced in China is quite different, and that took me some time to adjust. And I think that's so how I do it is really, I think it's important that you have an open mind, and you are being experimental, and don't feel shy. I think internally, I think maybe I look like an outgoing person, but internally, I think I'm pretty shy. Like I prefer like a one-on-one communication rather than being with a group of people. And I definitely don't enjoy like answer questions in class, because I always feel like, oh, what if my English is bad? Like I have an accent, and what if my answers is dumb, or my questions is dumb? You know what? Don't worry about it. What I learned is, doesn't matter. So what if you made a mistake? You are still contributed positively, and it's all for the experience, right? And I think for the instructors and your peers, they welcome that, because they think you are part of the group, and that way you really slowly adapt to the team. I think that is really good. And in some cases, I think I don't know all the jokes, the memes, the cultural references. I often don't, but that doesn't matter. I just sit there and listen, and slowly I absorb. Like every time I listen something, then okay, next time when you talk about it, I know, right? And then I can say something back. I can comment something back. So definitely, listening, sitting there just listening is still a good experience. And I think these are the difficulties I experienced, but I also think I overcome that by just have an open mind, be brave.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think bravery is something that's super important when you're navigating a new space. You mentioned that you know, tried taking on a job just to be able to push yourself to build those communication and language skills. And I think that applies to anyone at all, like international or domestic, um, native speaker or second language or third language, as many UBC students are often taking up English as their third or fourth language. And I think for all students, it helps you build communication skills, and whether it's in a professional workplace or in a club or group projects in class, it's having that opportunity to continue building your communication skills. It's important for anyone at any stage, because you need to build those skills for the professional workplace after graduation. And I really appreciate what you said about all four experience. I think practice is so important so you can build your confidence. I know that I myself also was pretty scared of answering questions in class, or raising my hand, or even talking to professors during office hours. And I think um, once you take that one step, it becomes a little less scarier every single time
Yeah,
you do it.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think especially after my first year, my confidence level definitely got built up, and I feel more comfortable to seek help, and or just have like a chit chat with my professors or colleagues or classmates. I think it really just like the old saying, practice makes perfect, right?
Yeah, exactly. And on that note, as a new immigrant, and trying to acculturate to Canada and UBC, how did you find community? whether it's UBC as a whole or within the Faculty of Forestry?
I think maybe because I'm quite actively involved in a lot of events and social groups. I think I find the communities in both within the Faculty of Forestry and UBC as a whole. Of course, I started in the Faculty of Forestry because I often call it that's my home planet. That's so I start from there, and I expand my involvement on campus. And for instance, I joined the Forestry Undergraduate Society in 1 year, and I also try to find some other opportunities on campus. For instance, I joined the sailing club. I think in my first year, it was really cool. And now, during my graduate studies, I worked for the graduate society. So I think, at UBC, there are so many cohorts, and as long as you are willing to make connections, you can always find a group that suits you, and you can always find someone who has the same interest as you do. So that's really helpful. And I think I have quite a few friends from different faculties, or I just took class and I met them, and we later became friends. It's really fantastic. I definitely find a strong belonging at UBC. And in 2018, I had to be in Kelowna for a while. I really didn't like that too much, because I felt that if you imagine I'm the tree, it's like you are pulling my root out, and now I have to move from Vancouver to Kelowna. So this is how strong my connection is with the university and with the Faculty of Forestry.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's amazing that you're able to build such strong roots in the Faculty of Forestry and at UBC. And I'm not sure how long you stayed in Kelowna, but now you're back, and obviously those roots kept you close to home. You did mention that you're now in your graduate studies and are working within the Graduate Society. What made you decide to pursue a graduate degree, and what are you studying now, and how did you make this decision?
So I think, at some point in your undergraduate studies, it's naturally bring this topic, like what you want to do after you graduate. So there are multiple choice, but if we just have a simple categorization, then one is, you continue your academic career, or you join the work market and find a job. So at the time, I thought, I think I always enjoyed the research side. I find that there are some research topics really attractive to me, and I want to go deeper, learning deeper, and elevate my academic skills. That's probably the main reason for me to go to grad school. And also, I just think that it's probably beneficial for my future careers to have a master's degree. So that's definitely another factor. So that's mainly why I went to the grad school, and I think that's a really, really good choice. And of course, nowadays UBC offers a wide range of graduate programs. Like for instance, just in forestry alone, so the program I'm currently in is called a research intensive program, meaning you are doing research, merely taking like maybe a few courses, but the majority of your time you spent on doing researches. But we also have another stream that's called professional master's degrees. So that is more course intensive. So you take, I think, about 5 courses per semester, and then you graduate within like 9 months also. So that may be suitable for other students who are maybe not too into doing research but still wanna get a master's degree. And then recently we launched a new program called a graduate certificate. So it's relatively new. That's also something quite exciting and maybe suitable for some of the students who maybe doesn't really want to go to a grad school, but kind of want to take some classes in the graduate program. So then that may be a good stream.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I think there's so many opportunities for graduates programs that students will eventually have to explore. And I think in first year, it seems really far away. But particularly, as you continue on throughout the years, you begin learning more about these types of, research or professional master's degrees. Are you hoping to further your career in academia, like potentially becoming a full-time researcher?
Maybe not. Well, at least not for now. I think I have been in school for long enough, so maybe it's a good idea to just work for a while. But who knows? Maybe down the road I will go back to school again. But just back to the point that you mentioned, that for first year student feels like the future is a little bit far away. Maybe you are not really thinking about what to do after you graduate. But I think it's good that for first year students to bear that in mind, because let's say if you want to go to graduate school, then some of the courses that you chose to take should be tailored to develop your research skills, so that when you go to apply graduate schools, it's easier to secure a supervisor, and also it helps you to secure fundings. So I think when I started thinking about graduate studies, it's not too late, but it's kind of like on the edge of being a little bit too late. But luckily I got good grades, so that kind of saved me a little bit. And I always take I try to take difficult classes, but maybe not as difficult as other classmates take. But so I think my advice for first year students is that you don't need to be stressed out, but it's good that you start thinking about it and be strategic on your classes choice. That will be really good for you.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think, even in my first year, I wasn't really thinking about it at all, just because I'm in the Master of Management dual degree. And I thought, oh, well, I already have the next 4.5 years planned for myself. I don't need to think about it at all. But I think that it's important to, continue experimenting and try those things. So if you know that you might want to do a research intensive graduate degree, then begin networking with your profs so that you have a supervisor, or at least references for grad school. I think it's important to maybe think early, and at least you can do some exploration, so that way you're not reaching fourth year and thinking, oh, I should explore this, and then end up realizing that it's not what you wanted to do at all. I think it's important to test the waters a little bit and talk to people who are experts in that.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree on that. And like you said, making connections, because at some point you will need to get a reference letter, and it's always good that the person who is going to write the reference letter for you actually knows you, so that the letter will be more passionate and more sincere than someone, just see you in the class, maybe say hi once, and of course, the quality of the reference letter will be quite different, right?
Absolutely. What were some of the ways that you built your network as a student, and how did it help you as you graduated from your undergrad degree?
So the way I built my network really begins with, after my first year, because after my first year, I get to know a lot of professors and also my classmates. And then later I got this special projects assistant position in the dean's office in forestry. And I think I am, quite, when I'm, in the professional setting, I am quite outgoing. I'm always, be polite and considerate. So I think people in generally quite appreciate that. So that really leave a good impression of what kind of person you are. And of course, working on different projects, like for instance, I worked as a research assistant for I think that was 2000, I think that's 2016 campus tree inventory. And then I got to know folks from campus and community planning from the SEES sustainability program. And every time you get to work on some project, it's not like I'm deliberately always constantly thinking, like building some connections, but it's just naturally develops this kind of professional relationships. And of course, your deliverables speaks for who you are and what kind of abilities you have. And next time when there are some similar projects coming up, then people may reach out to you, ask you like, hey, do you want to work on this new project? And I also worked as a undergraduate TA in my fourth year, and that is also very helpful. And in general, it's not quite common for undergraduates to be a TA. Sometimes you may be hired as a marker, but all these opportunities, the reason that they come to me, I think in a way is because not just only like I got the good grade in the class. Of course, that's very important that you need to master the subject of matter. So of course, but I think it's also just doing your labs, doing the lectures, through the way how you answer questions, how you help your peers. The professors will see your performance, and it really will leave an impression. And some people may think like, oh, there are so many students in the class, like how can they remember who I am? But trust me, our professors really devote a lot of time and efforts in mentoring our students, and that they really care about our growth. So everything you do in that class, the professors will know, and down the road they will, if you really perform very, very well, they will reach out to you, like asking like, hey, do you want to be my TA, like, or do you want to help me to work on this project? So I think that's another thing to keep in mind, that there are really many ways to build a network. And of course, there are the social events organized by the faculty or student clubs, and you get to know the guest speakers sometimes, or the work job fair that we organize in the faculty. So I think these all really helped me a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. I really resonated with a lot of the things that you said because I feel like they have really resonated with my UBC experiences. I've also been an undergrad TA, and the prof that I was assigned to, I had her as an econ prof 4 years ago. I'm in my fifth year now, and I had her in first year, and she still remembered me. And I said, really? I don't like. Why would you remember me? So I think profs do put a lot of attention and heart into their teaching, and I think um, students might not know that, but I think, if you show up well to class, if you do well, and you show up to their office hours and build that relationship with them, they're maybe not for sure going to offer you research assistant positions or ask you to be a TA, but they'll certainly want to build that relationship with you, share their knowledge, and sometimes it will lead to exciting opportunities like working on research projects and things like that. I'm going to, before we finish off today, I'd like to ask you one final question. What is the most important takeaway that you would like the audience to leave with today?
That's a good question. I think really the biggest takeaway is, towards the end of my talk, I said, be ambitious and adventurous. Really, that's the biggest takeaway I wanna leave with our students. Really dream big, big and also, just to be experimental, try different things. When the opportunity comes to you, take it, just take it, and don't worry about the results. No one is perfect. Like, I don't know a lot of things. So when I first come to Canada, really, like, I remember when I take my first year forestry class, and there are people throwing, acronyms, and many of my peers knows a lot of things about forestry, and I just like, oh my God, what are you talking about? Is this gibberish? Like, I don't know what I was saying. But don't worry, like, even if you don't know, you can always learn, and there are so many people help you, as long as you are willing to learn and willing to open yourself to these potentials, you will get it. So really just be ambitious and adventurous. And there are so many resources and opportunities available on campus. If you want to, you can really achieve so much more.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Alice. I think that's really inspiring, and hopefully our first year students will take that to heart. So thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
taking the time to share your story. For our students in the audience, be sure to check out your virtual collegiate Canvas calendar for future events. All of our alumni and collegiate office hour recordings will also be included, as well as many other events and activities to wrap up the term. So I encourage you to visit Careers Online, the UBC hub of 10,000 copies, as well as the UBC events calendar to stay up to date. Thank you again to our incredible speaker, Alice, for sharing her experiences and insights today. And of course, a big thank you to all of you for choosing to be part of today's Alumni Office Hour. Stay safe, everyone, and have a great rest of your term.
Thank you, Tiffany. Thank you, everyone.